So, without a doubt, the refugee crisis is a very controversial subject. It was even a main key point in the United States' 2016 presidential election. It was heavily debated, and it played a huge part in Brexit. The Commissioner for the European Union's Common Immigration and Asylum Policy said the bloc can force member states to accept refugees. The Commissioner, Dimitris, said that the bloc has the tools, the means, and the power to force member states to comply. His comments came during a visit to Poland, which has opposed EU efforts to resettle refugees. Poland argues that many of the refugees in Europe came to improve their economic prospects rather than fleeing a dangerous war zone. The relocation plan is intended to ease the pressure on countries that have taken the brunt of the migrant wave, Italy and Greece. Comments are the latest in a series of threats by EU officials to countries that refuse to accept refugees or challenge the EU's quotas. The Commission might start infraction procedures against resistant nations. European Commission Vice President Frans Timmermans declared in early February he expressed his hope that peer pressure would force countries to comply. So, people within the European Union are concerned about the influx of immigration from Muslim countries. Now, let's clear the water right now. I'll make my bias clear. That way, you can weave out what is coming subjectively from me and what is coming objectively from me. I am a libertarian-leaning classical liberal. I'm really a classical liberal constitutionalist, and right now, the Libertarian Party is my home. My views and how radical I am with the libertarian platform is always shifting as I learn new things. With that being said, I am against most forms of foreign aid. You're stealing money from American citizens and attempting to play the Superman of policemen or the world and give it to the people. And I would apply that logic to any country that I live in. That's not all. I support a non-interventionist policy, meaning I don't think our government should be in the affairs of other countries. I don't think my government should have played a role in the affairs of the Middle East. I am against the welfare state. I also think it's stupid to wage a war in a country and then bring in an influx of refugees from the region you just destroyed. It would be like declaring war with the Soviet Union during the Cold War, destroying the infrastructure, their homes, monuments, churches, killing citizens, and so on. You're killing brothers, sisters, cousins, husbands, wives, and friends of the refugees you're bringing in over by the masses. You're bringing over all of the disenfranchised socialist, communist refugees raised and born in the Soviet Union. And for another analogy, it's like I go to your house, burn it down, kill your mom, your dad, your pets, your siblings, and I destroy your shelter. Then I decide to invite you to my house, and I allow you to stay over because I destroyed your house, so you get to stay the night and live with me for a while. You get to sleep 10 feet away from me. What are you going to do in that case? Are you going to accept my graciousness, or are you going to be mad? You may not be a religious nut. You may not be politically motivated either. You might just be mad that I killed your family and your home. So with that being said, the more pragmatic and less political reasoning why individuals in countries in the European Union might be concerned about all these refugees coming in. Okay, is that understandable? I've given you my bias, so I won't even mention the drain on tax money and social services promised to the citizens. I'll save that for last. I'll get it out of the way now. Taking money from Germans, which was promised to Germans, and giving it to people from another country. I won't bring that up, but there is a cause and effect here. There are consequences for actions that we do, which include destroying a region and bringing people from a region you just destroyed. There is a cause and effect. It's directly related. Now, let's finally bring up the religion of Islam. Clearly not every Muslim is a terrorist. However, whether a Muslim is a terrorist or not isn't the only debate we need to have. The debate should also include the culture of Islam and Muslim countries versus Western liberal values.
Death is the sentence. I mean, look, there's nothing to be embarrassed about this. Death is the sentence.
Here's a story you won't see anywhere else. A Muslim scholar says killing homosexuals is the compassionate thing to do. And he's just hours away from speaking at an Islamic center right here in Central Florida. Channel 9's Field Sutton's been trying to find out why the group invited him to Sanford.
Off camera, one of the people who is a member here told me that Sheikh Farouk Seskalishfar's speech last night on women's issues was well received and not particularly controversial, but we already know that many people in the Sanford area and around Central Florida are upset about what is coming tonight.
Yeah, I'll ask him.
Seminole County resident Alan Kornman told Eyewitness News he couldn't believe what a simple Google search turned up about the man speaking at this Islamic center tonight.
It's appalling. In fact, it's inciting violence against gays, and I find that reprehensible.
Dr. Farouk Seskalishfar lives in Iran, according to his online bio, and he's been condemning homosexuals since at least 2013.
Death is the sentence. I mean, look, there's nothing to be embarrassed about this. That death is the sentence.
He admits the Islamic death sentence applies in limited circumstances and is not applicable under U.S. law. But he also says the only way gays and lesbians can be forgiven is to die.
Well, we have to have that compassion for people. With homosexuality, the same. Out of compassion, let's get rid of him now.
I asked Reverend Brian Fullwider of the Interfaith Council of Central Florida what he thinks about Seskalishfar's.
Here in the West, we've opened up to allowing homosexuals to get married. Islamic Middle Eastern culture, not so much.
Life for gays in the Muslim world is difficult as it is, but in the areas where ISIS rules, the retribution is beyond cruel. Now, again, ISIS images meant to shock and to terrorize have been distributed, and more examples of their inhumanity are on display. This time, it is perverted justice against gays in both Syria and Iraq. The names of those Arwa Damon spoke with for this report have been changed and their identities concealed.
These stills, dated March 2015, purport to show a man being thrown from a building. According to the last caption, he was also then stoned to death. His alleged crime, being gay. These images were posted by ISIS in its stronghold of Raqqa. This series as well, from January, show an older man seated in a chair and then tumbling to the ground. Also in January, these from ISIS in Mosul, 2 men murdered in the same manner. In all the photographs, dozens of people are seen watching the killings, seemingly unfazed.
And he says that homosexuality is permissible. So I said, impossible. He said, no, this, that. So I said, fine, if he wants to discuss it, then we can discuss it.
I myself is homosexual. I know what I've been through. I got married because I thought that was going to change me. I fasted 80 days every year besides Ramadan, asking Allah to help me to just get rid of these things. They haven't moved. I have started with this thing from the age of 12. At the age of 5, I recognized that I was different from other boys. We feel that it's not a choice that we make, that somehow the Quran should be speaking about us as well, that we also have rights as human beings.
What do you say? Is homosexuality permissible in Islam? Is that what you're promoting? We will consider you a murtad, an apostate, and out of the fold of Islam. You would not be buried in a Muslim graveyard. No Muslim person would ever read your Salatul Janazah. You are just playing with words. Homosexuality is a crime not only in Islam, in every divine religion, and is punishable in Islam by death. And we say if it was the Islamic state, then you would face the capital punishment. The only difference among the jurists is how that person should be killed. That's the only difference. And I gave you the hadith of Nabi alayhi salatu salam, the saying, فَقْتُلُوا الْفَاعِلُ وَالْمَفْعُولُ بِهِ.
Accusations. This speaker supports death penalty for homosexuals. This speaker supports death penalty for this crime or that. He is homophobic. They subjugate women, etc., etc., etc. It's the same old stuff coming all the time. And we always try to tell them, I always try to tell them that, look, it's not that speaker that we're inviting who has these extreme radical views, as you say. These are general views that every Muslim actually has. Every Muslim believes in these things. Just because they're not telling you about it, or just because they're not out there in the media, doesn't mean they don't believe in them. So I will ask you, everyone in the room, how many of you are normal Muslims? You're not extremists, you're not radical, just normal Sunni Muslims. Please raise your hands. Everybody, mashallah. Subhanallah. Okay, take down your hands again. How many of you agree that men and women should sit separate? Please raise your hands. Everyone agree. Everyone agree. Brothers and sisters. Subhanallah. So it's not just these radical sheikhs then. Allahu Akbar. Next question. How many of you agree that the punishments described in the Quran and the Sunnah, whether it is death, whether it is stoning for adultery, whatever it is, if it is from Allah and His Messenger, that is the best punishment ever possible for humankind. And that is what we should apply in the world. Who agrees with that? Allahu Akbar. Are you all radical extremists? Subhanallah.
So let me just sum it up real quick. It is a drain on the funds of social programs promised to citizens who have paid into the system. You're inviting people from a region that you have destroyed, and you're bringing in, by a huge number, people of a culture that completely contradicts yours, and letting them live there for free. It's an enabler, if you will. Those are just some of the reasons I can bring up as to why there might be grievances to bringing over refugees that didn't include my political beliefs. It's simple. It is a drain on economic resources, because a socialist regime can't exist without a capitalist framework. Capitalists make socialism possible. Without socialism, or without capitalism, there would be nobody to tax. Okay, that's my political belief. But they are a drain on the economic system. There's only so much money, and there's general grievances about the culture of Islam versus the culture of Western society, which includes most of Europe and the United States and Canada, so on and so forth. Thank you for watching my video.